I have something to tell you, and I've been building toward it for 3 weeks now. But before I tell you what it is, I need you to sit with this one question. Have you ever done everything right? The protocol, the supplements, the diet, the exercise, and still hit the exact same wall over and over again? It's not a new wall, same one over and over. And here's what I've come to believe after 6 years of doing this work one-on-one with clients, years longer in this industry. That wall is not a discipline problem. It's not even a body problem. It is a foundation problem. And today I want to show you why and what I'm building to finally address it. Quick but important before we go further, I'm Dr. Carrie Barron, board certified doctor of natural medicine and certified natural health professional. I'm not a medical doctor. I do not diagnose, treat, or cure disease. Everything I share here is for educational purposes only and not a substitute for working with your own healthcare provider. What I do is help women find what's been missed and support the body's God-given ability to heal. Okay, let's get going. Let's connect the dots real quick because everything this month has been building to this exact moment. Week 1, I told you 75 to 98% of physical and mental illness traces back to your thought life. Not some of it, almost all of it. Week 2, I walked you through the 6 areas that actually run your health and how emotional and spiritual health is the foundation every other area sits on. Week 3, I showed you glyc a marker in your blood work that cannot tell the difference between chronic infection, a toxin load, or unprocessed emotional stress. Your body treats all 3 the same, which means what you've been carrying emotionally has been showing up physically the whole time. So here's the conclusion those 3 weeks have been walking you toward. If the emotional layer is the foundation and it is already showing up measurably in your body, then any program that starts with meal plans and supplements and skips right past the emotional piece is starting in the wrong place. That is exactly why I built this to start where it starts. I want to show you where this idea actually came from because it's not mine, it's God's, and it is older than any of us. Deuteronomy 6:5 says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." Heart, soul, and strength. 3 words, 1 command. In Hebrew, when something gets said 3 times like that, it's not just for decoration. It is a superlative. It is the strongest way that language has to say all of it, completely, nothing held back. When Isaiah's angels cry, "Holy, holy, holy," they're not naming 3 separate holy things about God. They are saying he is holy beyond measure. Same device right here, applied to how we are supposed to love him. Heart, soul, strength. Every part of you, not just your Sunday morning, not just the quiet devotional part of the day that feels spiritual, all of it. Your emotions, your inner life, your physical body, named together in the same breath as an act of worship. Here's why that matters for everything I've taught you this month. A lot of you were handed a version of faith where spiritual lives are in a little box, separate from the body, separate from your emotions, separate from your actual daily life. God never wrote it that way. He wrote heart and soul and strength into one single command because loving him was never meant to be compartmentalized. And if loving him is not compartmentalized, your health isn't either. That is holistic thinking, and it did not come from a wellness trend. It came from God's word, thousands of years before holistic was ever a marketing word. So, if heart, soul, and strength move together, you cannot build lasting health on top of an emotional foundation that is still cracked. You can try. A lot of you tried. I've even tried. But eventually that wall comes down. I see this constantly. A woman does a detox, cleans up her diet, starts moving her body, and gets real results for a while. Then stress hits, a hard season, a conflict she cannot resolve, grief that surfaces out of nowhere from something in the past, and the results stall, or worse, they reverse, even though she has not changed one single physical habit. That's not a willpower failure. That is the body telling you the truth. The emotional layer was never actually addressed. It was just quiet for a season. I'm not saying this from the outside looking in. I am in it myself. We all are. I'm currently doing a GLP Forte protocol for my own weight loss, and I've watched this play out in my own body in real time. When I am calm, steady, at peace, The weight moves the way it's supposed to. But the second I hit a stressful week, a harder conversation, a deadline crunch, I watch the scale hold, or I will straight up gain a pound, even though I have not changed one thing about how I'm eating or moving. My own body will not let me lie to myself about this. Stress is not a feeling I am having. It is a physical variable in my results every single time. It's true for me, someone who has spent years studying this. I promise, for you, it's true too. I used to think that admitting that would make me a hypocrite, like I'm supposed to have it all figured out because I'm the one teaching it. But that is exactly backwards. It doesn't mean that the work doesn't matter. It means that the work has to start in the right place, for me just as much as for you. So here's what I'm building, and here's why it starts where it starts. The tool for this layer is homeopathic remedies. Remedies that work at a subtle energetic level to help your body release patterns it has been holding on to, sometimes for years, sometimes longer than that. I want to be clear about how this is different from a supplement. A supplement is giving your body a raw material, vitamin, mineral, amino acid. So it has the building blocks to do its job. A homeopathic remedy is not giving your body a raw material. It is giving your body a signal, a very specific, very targeted signal that says, this pattern has been running. You do not have to keep running it. Gentle, no drug interactions, nothing that builds dependence, just a nudge in the right direction aimed at exactly the pattern that needs it. And this is where I get to answer something I teased you about last week. I told you there was a deeper layer. Patterns that did not start with you, passed down through your family line. In classical homeopathy, there is actually a name for that. It's called a miasm. It refers to an inherited tendency, a pattern passed down generation to generation, sitting underneath the symptoms you can see. It's not a metaphor, it is actual clinical concept, ancestral patterns your body has been carrying that never belonged to you in the first place, and we're never going to resolve with a meal plan or a supplement. Think about the patterns you have watched repeated in your own family line, the anxiety that shows up in every generation of women on one side of your family, the weight that will not budge no matter what 3 generations of women have tried, the exact same exhaustion, the same emotional shutdown, the same struggle showing up again and again like it was handed down along with eye color and the family recipes, because in a real sense, it was. That is what this next layer of work goes after. Here's what I'm building for you. It is a group program, and it starts with 3 pieces working together: a mental detox and drainage support, a multiple miasm remedy for those inherited ancestral patterns, and an emotional detox and drainage support. 4 weeks done together as a group with me walking alongside you the whole way. If you know you're sensitive, or you have had a hard health history, or just want to go slow and see how your body responds, that 4-week piece stands completely on its own. It is a full, complete starting point. But for some of you, this is exactly the doorway into something bigger. This program is also an on-ramp for my full 6-month Metabolic Forte release program. If you go that route, you start with the 2 weeks of the mental and emotional miasm part. I'll call it MEM. Then you move into a deeper detox phase with energetics and supplements. And there, the GLP homeopathic protocol I personally walk with each client through. 2 ways in, same start place. Go slow and start at 4 weeks and let it carry you into the full 6 months. Either way, we start in the same foundation because I do not believe you can build lasting metabolic or physical change without it. And I want to show you exactly why that foundation matters for the weight piece specifically. I know what a lot of you are thinking: GLP. You've heard that word everywhere these last couple of years, and you have probably watched someone you love go through it, if not yourself. So let me be specific about why this is not the same as what you see on those TV commercials. A pharmacy GLP-1 shot works through one single pathway. It suppresses your appetite. It suppresses how fast your stomach empties. It suppresses your insulin response. That is it. One pathway, and it's forced. And because your body only ever gets pushed down that one road, it begins to adapt. It has to. That is why the dose has to keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And that's why so many women tell me the exact same thing happens when they stop using a GLP. The weight starts creeping back within weeks. sometimes before the medication is fully out of their system, because nothing about how their body actually regulates hunger and metabolism was ever retrained. It was only muted for a while. This GLP homeopathic protocol I use works completely differently. It's not suppressing anything. It is retraining 4 systems at the same time. Your appetite and fullness signals, so your brain actually hears, I'm satisfied again, instead of staying hungry no matter what you eat. Your metabolism and energy use, so your body knows it's safe to burn fuel instead of hoarding it. Your blood sugar and insulin communication, so cravings stop running the show. And your brain's own hunger center, so the constant noise around food starts to quiet down instead of getting louder. 4 systems working together, gently teaching your body to remember how to do this on its own. No dose has to keep rising. No rebound waiting for you the moment you stop. No harsh side effects to manage along the way. And here's the piece that connects everything I've told you today. None of those 4 systems will cooperate if your body still thinks it's under threat. If it's still bracing from stress, from grief, from patterns passed down from your family line, it will hold on no matter how good the signaling is. That is exactly why we start with the emotional piece. It's not a nice add-on before the real program begins. It's what gets your body to actually feel safe enough to respond to everything that comes after it. I'm not asking you to be the first ones to try this. Women are in the work with me right now. And I want you to hear directly from a couple of them because I think you will recognize yourself in what they are saying. Here's something I did not expect this early in the program. One woman in the group had already started dropping weight on just the emotional remedies alone before we were anywhere near the metabolic phase. This is not a fluke. That is exactly the mechanism I just described. Once her body stopped bracing, it started letting go. One woman in our current group told me, and I'm quoting her almost word for word, those emotional remedies make the biggest changes for me. They made big changes in what they call food chatter, the monkey brain chatter, food noise. Those really made it for me. A few weeks later, she told me, the monkey left. I haven't seen him lately. No more food noise. That's not a supplement talking. That is a woman whose brain has been running the same food noise loop for years. And an emotional homeopathic remedy quieted it down enough for her to actually hear herself think and think about food logically. Another woman in the group did not recognize what she was carrying until the remedies started working. She told me, I didn't know I was depressed. And now that I've been taking it for a week, I'm not going to the dark places. She was not chasing an emotional breakthrough. She came in for the weight loss. The emotional piece surfaced because it was never separate from the physical to begin with, exactly what we've been talking about all month. The third woman in the group said something I want every one of you to hear because I think a lot of you are quietly living this exact pattern. She had pushed herself hard one day physically, and instead of beating herself up about it afterward the way she used to, she said, I made that mistake several years ago and kept beating myself up. So I learned that I have to treat myself better. You have to love yourself. The scale had not moved much that week, but her clothes fit differently, and she told me something's happening. That is a non-scale victory, and I want you to notice it is also an emotional one. Self-compassion, showing up as a physical result. These are real women in real sessions saying real things. Right now, this is not theory to me. I am watching it happen. So here's where you come in. If what I just described sounds exactly what you've been missing, the emotional and ancestral piece nobody else addressed, get on the interest list for the group program below. I will walk you through the details, the timing, and which entry point makes most sense for you. And if you're not sure yet, or if you want to see what is actually happening in your body before you commit to anything, start with the root cause landscape. It's only $99. It shows us your baseline, what is already in motion, what is carrying weight, and what we're working with. So nothing about the next step is a guess. Everything I've taught you this month comes down to one sentence. You are not a body with some emotions attached. You are a whole person, heart, soul, and strength, all one, exactly the way God designed you. Here's what I want you to picture. Reaching a goal and it actually staying instead of watching it slip the moment life gets hard. A pattern in your family line finally stopping with you instead of getting handed down one more time. Waking up steady, Not just physically lighter, but emotionally lighter too, like something you've been carrying for years finally got set down. That is not a fantasy. That's what happens when the foundation gets addressed instead of worked around. God did not hand you a command to love Him in parts. He did not design you to heal in parts either. If you've been doing everything right and still hitting the same wall, this is why. Not because you failed, because the foundation was never fully addressed. Get on the interest list for the group program below and start with the root cause landscape to see your baseline first. Either way, let's stop working around the foundation and finally build on it solidly. I'll see you next week.